Hello, Scott. My captain told me that she wanted to see you.
Is it related to you? Are you sick?
No. Not that I know of. She didn't tell me why.
Oh, well, should I take my pouch then? It's an important question. I should still take it though, but it's a little heavy. All right, I'm leaving without it.
I think I have a problem with going through your friend's things. I hope whatever you're looking for, it's worth it.
I'm trying to find information about the past. It's personal, okay?
Forget it. You couldn't understand. The officers, they aren't like us. They're above all that.
Hello, Mancer.
Hello? I found some of your father's letters.
I knew it. Tell me.
Most of the correspondence was friendly. They were very close. However, there was some tension between them over time. Some letters gloss over an expedition that they had done together, but what surprised me the most is when your father talks about a boy who was actually Scott's son. The last letter I found is a bit bizarre. I didn't really understand what he meant.
What did he mean? Do you remember?
Your dad begged Scott to stop the madness, warning that his wife's divorce was only the beginning of what he would lose if he couldn't face the truth. That it was too late for his son. He seemed to think Scott was on the verge of self-destruction.
It's true that it's rather mysterious. Scott, a son. Did you know?
No, he never told me about him. He obviously lost him. No doubt it's still a touchy subject.
We have to find out what this is all about. You have to ask his wife. Did my father really mean to interfere in his family drama? Maybe that's why he disappeared? Please, Zechariah!
Hey there.
Officer, hello! Make the slightest move, you're a dead man. Make the slightest move, you're a dead man.
I'm sorry to... You Angela Seeker, Scott's wife?
Ex-wife? What did the drunk do this time?
Nothing bad. He's a friend.
A friend? Ah, right.
Just looking for some information on one of his friends, Mark, and your son.
Get out! Get out! What right do you have coming around digging up the past?
Make the slightest move, you're a dead man.
Sorry to bug you again, but Listen, I think Mark's disappearance was tied to Scott's research and your son. And I know you were a researcher too, so I'm hoping you'll be able to help me understand the research better and maybe even find your old friend.
The drive to dissect even the smallest details, to try to understand how and why. That thirst once drove me too, but I let it go. There was no well deep enough to satisfy that thirst. I was never as involved as Scott. In truth, I began to give up my work once we had our son. The focus of my research had been the study of animal mutations with the goal of vaccine production. And always wondered if, because of that, I had been the conduit that carried the infection to my son. Scott was more interested in genetics and its medical applications. The second our son showed signs, though, I completely stopped my research. If I hadn't told Scott, he would never even have noticed. And his answer was to swear he could find a cure. He really believed that with his work in genetics and mine in vaccination, that we could save our son. But I was too devastated to help him. All I wanted to do was spend every second with our son before he was taken away from us. Which, of course, happened. And Scott and Mark took off on a wild goose chase that he was sure would end in a cure. I didn't get it. There wasn't anything he needed that he didn't have access to in his lab. And while he was off, I was alone and waited and eventually got tired of it. So I asked for a divorce. And then they finally came back with nothing to show for it. But soon Mark took off again to find what I guess were raw materials for research that Scott swore he couldn't find here. And that was the last I saw of him. That's all I know. I never found out what their research was on, and honestly, I just want to forget it all. Please, now, can you leave me be?
Make the slightest move, you're a dead man.
Hell, I can feel for what the old man's been through. I've known some folks myself who went through the same thing. Terrible thing. Breaks couples up, you know. Stress of
Make
never
the
being able to
slightest
have
move,
kids.
you're a dead man.
Why never again?
As they sterilize families who've had a mutant to make sure they don't have no more.
It's sad, but it's the only way to protect our own kind. At least now I understand why the professor's so, you know... Make the slightest move, you're a dead man. 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 Make the slightest move, you're a dead man.
Hello, Mancer.
Nope. I talked to Scott's ex-wife.
So, what did she say?
It's an awful story. Her son. Anyway, their son was struck by mutation. They took him away from them, of course, but it made Scott go crazy, and he was convinced that he could find a remedy. He asked for your father's help, so they left together, and were gone for a long time. Their exploration apparently didn't lead to anything concrete for the boy, and Scott descended into madness. And then one day, Mark left. His ex thinks that it was to bring back something useful for his research, and he never came back.
Shit. So my father's disappearance is related to that poor kid? It's really awful what they must have gone through. That explains a lot about why he's so crazy, and also why he behaves as if we were his kids. Thank you, Zach. That doesn't answer all of my questions, far from it, but I have a better grasp of what happened. My father disappeared by helping his best friend, who was going through a rough patch and wanted to heal his child. It's a sad but beautiful story, isn't it? I'm gonna think about all this. Thank you again.
You're not like other girls, are you?
Is that supposed to be a compliment? Or are you being a wise ass?
You just don't talk like the rest.
I drive a Rover. I don't sit around sipping brightly colored drinks with brainiacs talking about the philosophies of life. You don't like the way I talk? Take a number and shove it up your educated ass. Take any one of them uppity shits and put them in a Rover, driving through sandstorms and seeing crazy shit every fucking day, and tell me they won't start talking a little more colorfully.
Easy, killer. I'm not judging you. Doesn't bother me. I was just saying.
You were a fucking rogue before, so unless the army made you soft and... Sorry. Just a little defensive. Hear that shit a lot.
Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Beg.
Oh, hello. Man, have orders for Beg?
I'm sorry, Beg. I gave your stone to your mother, but she died. I believe that she committed suicide because the police were about to arrest her. She put the stone in her mouth and died.
Mother? Mother dead? No!
I'm really sorry. I didn't think that she would do such a thing. Hi.
Lieutenant, how can I help you?
You already back, Lieutenant Zachariah?
Captain, all Aurora tunnels were destroyed. If they're gonna get back into the city, they'll have to come up with another way.
I knew you wouldn't let me down, Lieutenant. Find Ryan and get your pay. It was well earned. Colonel Ian Mancer came by looking for you. Hope this isn't going to be a habit, Lieutenant. His problems aren't yours anymore. You're part of my unit now. We clear?
Of course. I'll go see him on my own time, not yours, Captain. Hi. Captain Eliza told me to come find you for my pay.
Indeed, I've been expecting you. Here you go.
Hey there, Fiorello. Hey there, Fiorello.
Zachariah, a pleasure as always. What may I do for you?
I've returned, Great Master, with the relic from the Aurora evacuation. It's a tablet filled with text, and I don't have a clue how to decipher it.
A glorious day. You have no idea what this means, Zachariah. The language is indeed difficult, and most no longer have the knowledge or ability to understand it. Most, but not me. I will begin deciphering immediately. We will know soon enough the vast wealth of secrets it holds. Sean was certainly right in his appraisal of you. Your worth has already proven to be infinitely valuable. A word of warning, Zachariah. Words spreading about your missions. Things you've been able to accomplish, filled with troubling details that imply you have a mole in your midst. If there is an ASC spy amongst your ranks, he will not only know our secret, but eventually share it back to his master. We will, in no uncertain terms, be lost. All will be lost. So take care. And take care of it. Sooner rather than later.
Thank you for the warning. I assure you, I will get to the root of this.